I used to worry that what I had to say would measure up to the polished pages of real writers. But as I've fallen in love with podcasting and the joy of holding space for guests to come on my show and share their experiences and their stories, I've noticed a quiet tension inside of me, a pull, a reminder that my own voice, even with all of its imperfections, still deserves to be heard. So here I am, choosing to write anyway, choosing to share anyway. This space is called The Upside Down. I've created this space to let my words live. Pieces of experience, fragments of thought, sparks of inspiration, some messy, some unfinished, but all true to me. I will be here most Fridays, not with certainty, but with courage. Not with perfection, but with presence. Because this is where messy and meaningful meet. And maybe, just maybe, where you and I can discover that upside down can still be its own kind of right side up. Today, I'm sharing She Got Away, an original piece of creative writing born from my own journey of navigating labels, survival, and self-discovery. And so whether you're reading or listening, this story is meant to be experienced through breath, sound, and the freedom that comes when we stop circling around the how and instead lean into meaning. Sometimes life places us at crossroads, not the simple kind where you flip a coin and move on, but the kind that asks something deeper of you. These are the moments when old labels, old voices, old doubts rise up, and yet something within you insists that there's more. This piece that I wrote is about one of those moments. It's about standing at the razor's edge of choice and discovering that forward isn't always left or right, but it is something and can be something altogether different. This is a story of what I feel like now that I've made a decision to open my voice, to allow my creative writing to be heard, to move through the self-doubt and this negative self-talk and the fear of being seen completely for my own authenticness of who I am, and not just show up on my podcast, but also to add what I believe and think and how I process lots of things in my life, which is through creative writing. This is a story of that. It's a story of the ways that we are shaped and reshaped by time until one day we realize that against all odds, we got away. We got away from the old and moved to the new. So these are my words, gathered and offered in their rawness. I invite you to listen as I take you into my piece. She got away. Standing at the crossroads, she wasn't sure how to move, left foot first or right. Being caught in between had never been an option in her life. Perhaps there's a first time for everything. Everything. The word sits heavy and wide. All the things, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and expectations of the parts of her that had lived in her body and bone, and of the parts still cycling inside the already full rooms of her mind. She thinks to herself, things have changed. Here she stands, balanced on the razor's edge of two corners, left or right. Which way? Labels cling to her body like bumper stickers, names pinned to flesh at different moments, codes of identification that once defined who she was, who she might become, who she longed to be, and who she believes she never could be. But how she did it is not the question. The truer question standing at the lip of the next step is this: does the feeling right now have meaning? If it does, where is it? And what is it asking of you? It may seem a really strange question to ask, but when labels worn, scraped, or new have covered every surface, and when the crowd has faded, leaving curiosity behind, what is left is the sound of self. And this is the story of when all the noise faded and the sound of self connected to passion, connected to purpose, connected to authenticity, and said, let's become. It once was always how. She had leaned on that word, applying it to everything introspective. How did this happen? How do I change? How do I fix what broke? But she learned that asking how can create a layer upon layer of complexity that never fully separates, no matter how carefully you pull it apart. Asking how is like questioning why the wind blows or why unsavory things happen to wonderfully made people. The answers remain elusive, unsatisfying. And when one grounds themselves, new opportunities to approach the old ways open up. Instead of running herself into circles of how and why and why and how and how and why, repeating over and over and over again. She learned to tune in to her body, not as a separate item with a head attached, but as a whole being, the head included. This understanding afforded a new possibility, and with it, a new question. In the past, when the sadness of life came knocking at her door, instead of running and hiding or pressing down, in the present, she learned to ask, does this sadness carry meaning? If it does, where is it arising in my body? Does it need something? Does this pain have a way to let go, to loosen its grip? One day, this shift turned her perspective upside down. Instead of the old, worn-out way of how, she found a lighter, more expansive way of seeing. One felt like work. The other felt airy and open, like the very crossroads where she now stands. In this new way, life itself became akin to time moving like water, rinsing, removing, softening sharp edges into smooth stone. To say she found a way would be a gross understatement. It was more like a new way of being. But if you ask her how, she would likely speak in third person, as the witness of watching herself walk through it all. And maybe that is what makes her story possible. The distance allowed her to witness her own becoming. This is not about how, it is about the edge in the moment and what happens when you ground into it and let go and open for anything, any possibility to become you. Standing at the crossroads, with her 10 toes clinging to the razor's edge of choice, she breathes. Her linen shirt rises and falls as breath fills her chest, until calmness spreads through her body. A calm not taught, but hard one. Pressed into her by the journey itself, life had once pushed her into spaces too cramped for any human. Places where she resisted until surrender became the only way through. Breath became the key. She knows that life is not always kind. It can be sharp, abrupt, and painful. At 8 out of 10 crossroads before, she moved without hesitation, flipping a coin, stepping forward without a thought for consequence. But today is different. Her feet sink deep into the earth. From that grounding, something within is awakening. From that listening, to the voice in her body saying, I'm here. There is meaning. Something within is called awake. An unseen place, a nerve that hums. The sound is new, yet it feels more like home. Safe beneath linens, warm with gratitude, soft with contentment, she wiggles her toes to remind herself that she stands not under a blanket, but on the razor's edge of choice. A choice so great, she can go left, she can go right. She's done it her whole life. But what if today, given the same choice, the same feelings, the same emotions, the same narrative to overcome, she chooses something different? The sound travels through her at lightning speed. It carries fragments, photographs, memories, flashes of the moments when she had to claw her way forward just to survive. Survival had once been her constant mode. Now she works with it and not against it. Self-doubt has been her go-to. Instead of taking action, she consistently is puzzled by her own authenticity, afraid of it. And when she writes, sometimes she feels that she is connected to the universe and everything just spills out effortlessly, while other moments demanded patience and hard work. But good things take time, and perhaps the good within her was meant to take this long to surface. And today, she feels something shift. The sound reverberates like solfeggio frequency, a tone tuned not across decades but lifetimes. What unlocks now is the sound of the soul, the sound of calling, the sound of passion, of authenticity, the sound of what it feels like to stand in confidence. A low hum that only the stratosphere might hear. In that hum lives the alchemy of wholeness. And they say there's no sound in such places, but they have not heard this. Even the smallest fractal of being carries the tone. Even buried things, bent or broken, words stuffed down, pressed together, vibration endures. And when one tiny fragment is found, it awakens everything. Today is that day, long awaited, hard fought. She moves like a seasoned warrior, listening to the wind, to the meaning of the sound. She breathes. And the single note of her breath spirals from one into two, then three, blending into an alchemy her body receives. The universe itself seems to cradle it. Light responds. The sun warms her skin, and the sound of one woman, faithful and true at the edge of two paths, rises. She is unafraid of the not knowing. She revels in all she has survived. The boundaries she's set, the places she burned to the ground, the towers she's toppled, the bondages she cut herself free from. And then for the first time, their words arrive clear and whole, connecting to every cell and fiber of her being. The words are clear and resound within her whole being. She got away. The phrase rumbles through her cells. Fractals of light sing it back. She got away. In her wildest dreams, she had never imagined the next step would feel like this. But she promises you, this is what happened. Sunlight and wind conspired, weaving a current along the forest floor, down both paths to where she stands. The universe throws its hands up in delight. Images, memories, and stars spin toward her on the wings of vibration. Her breath is the invitation, the inhale, the opening. The world answers, and she lifts off the path. Not with flinching muscles or hesitation, but grounded by a truth resounding in every cell. This is the work of the inner life, day after day, toiling and reshaping what life had given her. Was it dedication, diligence, or was it the fuel of the angry words she heard across her lifetime? You won't make it. She doesn't know. What she does know, as her 10 toes are lifting off the edge of choice, is this. Every day we walk a tightrope of time. Some move through it like rushing water. Others cling like mud. Neither is wrong. Each must lean into what feels true. And for her, showing up on this day has felt different. Before, it felt like carrying water in a bag riddled with holes. There's no sense in plugging leaks. New ones appear. Fresh spills soak the ground. Today, her showing up surprised even her, as she chose another way. Instead of turning left or right, she found the next best direction. Up. She got away. A new opportunity opens. No more crossroads, no more trudging. She takes flight into new places, new memories, new ways of being. She has borne the burdens. She has felt the suffocation of shame and guilt, tended the lashes of suppression, lifted her lineage, and carried it home to rest. She has a way forward. And as each moment arrives, the universe opens it. It is not over. It is simply another way. Thank you for listening to She Got Away. Writing and reading this piece reminded me that we all carry crossroads within us where life can feel uncertain, upside down, impossibly heavy. And for me, I wrote this piece because, like I said in the beginning, there has always been this self-narrative that I've believed, and I believed it so wholeheartedly that it shaped what I did. It shaped everyday choices. And it actually felt like I was standing on the razor's edge every day. So while I'm making these beautiful podcasts with people's stories and listening and learning, there's also this other piece of me that is not being met. And I felt it. I felt the tension, and I no longer wanted to live with it. And so I wrote my feelings and my thoughts, and this is what came out. And that's when I realized, oh, I probably should start the upside down. Because what a better way to show the artistry, the creation, the process. What a better way to show you my feelings and my thoughts, expressions, and all the other things that I feel. I have so many of them. But this writing was so true to me that it was as if my feet had lifted off of this corner of choice. Do I go left? Do I go right? And I just went up into something different. Because sometimes the way forward isn't left or right at all. Sometimes the way forward is up. And that up is where we see a bigger vision, we open to an expansiveness that is grounded in what we believe to be true. And maybe it's just something that we've never, ever allowed ourselves to imagine. And that's what it was for me. So I will leave you with a question and an affirmation. And so the question that you can carry if you so choose is this: when life places you at your own crossroads, what would it mean to stop looking left or right and instead look up? Look up and expect something totally different. And the affirmation that I'll leave is something that's helped me. When I can remember it, I say this: I trust that even when the path feels unclear, there is always a way forward. That affirmation leaves it open. Instead of it feeling locked in, there is always a way forward gives you an idea that there is always a way forward. This has been one of my creative reflections from the Upside Down. And may it stir something within you and remind you that even upside down can become its own way forward.